Hello, one and all, and welcome back, back to the Great Unknown Audio Show with me, your illustrious host, and most appropriate face for radio, Maxim Jennings. And kia ora. I think that's how they say it. Welcome to New Zealand. What a country. And it's been a pretty exhilarating, exciting, dramatic start to my trip, and we've got a bit to catch up on. We're actually on the end of day 2, because day 1 was just a quick recap of that. Not really much happened, as I got to Auckland Airport around 4:45 in the morning. Had to pick up my camper van, my spaceship, at 7 o'clock, as I said, so had a bit of time to kill. Had a breakfast at McDonald's from Auckland Airport, not too bad, and made my way 20 minutes out away from the airport into the city to pick up the car. There was no one there to help me, so I had to kind of unlock the gates, take the car out, and the spaceship, pretty out of this world, I have to say. It's already done 200,000 miles. I think it was a Toyota 2002 model RV camp thing. It's pretty roomy inside. It's got a lovely bit of space for storage, and then you kind of have to make it into a bed after. There's almost like a few rails that come out, and you put a wooden block on top of the rails with an extra third of the mattress then comes out, and it makes it into a nice double bed, 2 pillows, very nice. Everything's sorted there for me, and then it's got a bunch of different camping equipment. So gas hob with a few gas canisters, cutlery, pans, everything you could need, apart from a water basin. I mean, it's got a 5 litre kind of water holder that you would fill up as you get when you get to campsites and whatnot, and use that water to clean it. But the first place we stayed, as the emphaticness of where I am now is kind of taking a hold of this audio, but so the first place where I stayed. So as I mentioned in the last episode, I was planning on climbing Mount Doom, which is called Mount Nugumarehu, I think, if I'm saying that. Nuguara Mehu, I think that's how you say it, which is part of the Alpine Crossing trail, which is New Zealand's #1 day trek. So I was really hyped to do it. Always been a dream of mine to climb it after seeing photos of my friend from New Zealand and avid listener Jason Zhao show me from his photography exploits a number of years ago. So we've been preparing to do it, and then I unfortunately couldn't find a place. It was really strange. Like, it said that you couldn't park on either side of the trail. You had to get a shuttle. You could park at one place called Katahi Car Park, and then that would be the end. So you park the car at the end, take the shuttle to the start, and then obviously drive back. But when I tried to book the shuttle, it said that it was fully booked for like the next few months or so. And so I was really in two minds of what to do. But look, I ended up finding a place called Crossroads, and it said on their kind of their thing, well, their information, their bio, that they are part of the shuttle company. So I was like, okay, great. And it was probably about 6 kilometers away from the end of the trail. So I was like, okay, great. This is fantastic. I've really lucked out here, because it was very last minute of me, as it comes with the majority of things that I do. But it turned out to be just a number of different things that went terribly wrong. So when I arrived at Crossroads at about 5:30, I'd already been on a trail walk on Link Road, which is probably about 45 minutes away from there, at Pure Aura Forest Park, which was absolutely lovely, really remote, no one there, and just driving through there, all the way. It's about 250 kilometres away from Auckland, which is very much city-like. And then the moment you get onto the highway, everything just turns drastically green. Then when you get off the highway, the hills, the rolling hills of greenery, sheep everywhere, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. When the blue sky is out, just makes it absolutely fantastic, and everywhere just looks like a little hobbit hole, to be honest with you, which is what I was hoping for. So I did this little 3k walk up to the top of one of the mountains around there. Yeah, so Mount Pureura, the Forest Park. I should have probably guessed that one. But yeah, so that was really nice, a really good start. Pretty easy, 6k up and down. I was just a little warm up for the walk on Mount Doom tomorrow, and then we got to the forest. We got to the crossroads where I was staying, just as the sun was setting, and this beautiful orange was up against Mount Nugaru. I'm not even going to try and say it again. Mount Doom, and it just looked absolutely gorgeous. So it's right next to another mountain called Mount Rapahu, one or the other, and so that one's got snow on it, and it's just absolutely fantastic seeing those two mountains together in the sunset. And I was like, oh, so excited for the next day. And then the hosts for the Crossroads were meant to come between 7:30 and 8:30 to help me book for this shuttle bus. And I stayed up. I was absolutely shattered. Didn't get any sleep on the flight with Batik Air, Malaysian airline, who did not even offer complimentary water on their flight, which is absolutely terrible for a 7-hour flight. Batik Air, do better. And I hadn't been able to sleep because I never get to sleep. Thankfully, I had the whole row of seats to myself in the emergency exit lane, so that was fantastic. At least I got to stretch my legs and lie down. So thank you, Batik Air, for that. For not many people choosing your airline. Anyway, I'm digressing. So they were meant to come between 7:30 and 8. No one came. So now I'm panicking. I'm like, okay, right. They said there's nowhere to park at the Katahi car park because there's no space available. And so what I had to do was do a 12-hour round walk from where I was starting at Crossroads, walking on the highway to the start of the Alpine Trail, and then do the whole Mount Doom Trail, and then come back down to the end and then walk my way back. And I have to say, folks, I had definitely bitten off more than I could chew, because it was 18 kilometers walk from Crossroads where I was starting to the beginning of the trail. 12 kilometers on road, and then I was like, oh yes, I've made it to the start of the trail. We were probably about 2.5 hours into walking. I didn't feel too badly, but I knew that time was against me because I'd woken up later than I wanted to. I set an alarm for 6:30, and then was freezing cold, and I was still kind of 4 hours behind on Perth time. So to me, it felt like 2:30, and so I decided to stick the blowers on in the camper van for about 20 minutes, get warmer, have another half an hour in bed. Then that progressed to another half an hour, and then I ended up waking up at 7:45. My mistake. That's my mistake. And then, so I ended up leaving at about 8:15, an hour and a half later than I wanted to. And the sun sets at about 5:15. So that gave me, 9.5 hours to get back to do a 12-hour route to get back before it got dark, and that was incredibly ambitious. So I got about 10k into walking on the highway, and ended up starting to run because I was like, okay, I'm going too slowly. We're not gonna do this very quickly. And I think 12 hours is what Google Maps gave me. I probably could have cut it down to about 10.5, which would have meant an hour of walking. But in that probably 1.5 kilometers where I decided to run, I had a rucksack on, my 4-class on. I'd taken all the unnecessary pieces out of it, and then just ended up carrying a bit of food, waterproofs, and another layer for when it got colder, when I was up on the mountain, and started to run for maybe 2 kilometers. And then probably about 500 meters into my run, I saw the one and only police officer in her car just watching me, and she went, "Good on you, mate." And I'm like, oh, it's really not good on me. I was tempted to go, oh, do you mind driving me to the start of the trail? But in my true politeness, I just said, thanks very much, how are you? And carried on. So it was another 6 kilometers when you get to the exit for the Alpine Crossing Trail, which is just, it made me want to cry. A number of cars drove past me. I didn't bother trying to hitchhike just to the start of the trail, but by the start of the trail, which is 19 kilometers long, up a mountain, you've probably got a 400 meter elevation gain. It was 10 to 12, and they say it takes between 5 to 8 hours to complete the trail, which is absolutely great stuff, great planning from myself. And so by that time, by starting the trail, I already walked 18 kilometers. My feet were already starting to hurt. And well, the last time I did a big walk was Cradle Mountain. And as you guys know, I met a Nepalese family before we started the mountain on the night before, and they gave me some of their glorious dal bhat. And obviously the time before, I was in Nepal, last time I did a big walk, and I ate dal bhat every single day. And I didn't have dal bhat the night before. So I'm already at a disadvantage. I haven't got that real energy in me. And we're 18 kilometers in, starting to slightly struggle. We haven't even started doing the trail yet. And then about 5 kilometers in, the first 5 is a bit of like a boardwalk, but I'm getting that feeling that I am in Mordor. Mount Doom is obviously the mountain of fire in Mordor in Lord of the Rings. It's all my references there. And so you feel these molten rocks just surrounding you. It just feels really dark. But the worst thing is that you couldn't see the mountain because it was completely fogged over, which was not ideal, because as I started to gain elevation, it got colder and foggier and less visible. And by the time we'd got about 2 hours in, I was really reeling. My quads were hurting and my groin just started, I think from that 15 minutes of running, my groin just was starting to give up on me. And I was getting really annoyed this time. First of all, because I was hurting and I already walked so long, and I knew that I'd overestimated this all and wasn't as strong as I thought I was. So it was a real struggle to get to the top and see the first, it's called the Red Crater, which is 1,800 meters high, to see that. And it was a real struggle. I got up to the top at around 3 and I couldn't see anything. Everywhere was fogged over and it was just terrible. Like, I could see a bit of red rock here and there, but the Red Crater is when you're meant to see the other mountain to your right and then see Mount Doom, and I couldn't see anything. And so something that I've been hyping up for so long in my mind was incredibly underwhelming. My body was in pieces by that point. We'd probably done about 28 kilometers and I had another 4.5 hours to go. And that was mainly a descent. About an hour into that descent, we did manage to see the Emerald Lake, which is the second crater. And when you smell it, you can just smell that ashiness, that volcanic kind of vapor in the air. And that was fantastic. Although it was still foggy, I could still see the greeny, pearlescent emeraldiness of the lake. So that was a highlight, a big highlight to what had been really dismal so far. And I honestly felt like it was Mordor playing its true tricks on me and really having its vengeance for taking apart one of the good guys. So it wasn't entirely great. I'm just going to put this into a second parter as there's still a lot more complaining to do. So we'll do that.